and welcome to HATV. My name is Rhonda Malkmus, and if you've never joined us before in the kitchen, I'm really glad you're here today. Today, we're going to make better than Parmesan cheese, and I think it's a recipe that you will enjoy. So, there's a few steps to this process, but it's worth the effort. Okay, we're going to use our Vitamix today. We're using the Turbo Blend 4500. Going to use the Citrus Star juicer today to juice our lime. And so let's get started. I'm going to add here a cup and 3/4 of distilled water. To that, I'm going to add a cup and 1/2 of macadamia nuts. These nuts have been soaking overnight, and I just drained them a few moments ago so they wouldn't dry out. And also a cup and 1/2 of pine nuts, and they too have been soaking overnight. Although they wouldn't require soaking quite so long, but if I'm going to do one, I just do them both at the same time. Okay, and we have our water in there. I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon. And we're going to also add the juice of a lime. And I wanted you to see how this Citrus Star works, so we'll just juice this very quickly. I bet you didn't know I was so ambidextrous, did you? I can do it with both hands. Okay, we're going to add our lime juice. Okay, we're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. And the secret ingredient in this recipe are probiotic capsules. Our body needs probiotics. This is a fermented food. Fermented foods are excellent for the body and give us things that we can't get from other foods. Live enzymes, lots of enzymes and probiotics. And they're very healing for the body. When people have taken a lot of medications, they really mess up their intestines. The probiotics help to rectify that problem. So I add them often in foods, and especially if I want a fermented taste, which I do, because Parmesan cheese has a little bit of a fermented taste to it. Very simple. I'm going to start the machine and just let it run. It's going to run a few minutes. It takes a few minutes to get creamy. We don't want grainy cheese. We want real creamy cheese. So bear with me here. I'm going to turn it on low and then flip it to high. Oh, that's perfect. You'll see how creamy it is in just a moment when I pour it into this dish over here. And I talked to you about it being fermented. What I'm going to do after I pour it in the dish is put some parchment paper on it and just let it set at room temperature for about 5 or 6 hours. And then I'm going to pour it on a dehydrator tray and dehydrate it about 5 or 6 hours. And then flip it over. I'll show you all that later. I want you to see how creamy this is. See how creamy that is? Looks like milk almost. Because I want the air to get to it now, we're just going to cover it with parchment paper and let it sit for about 4 or 5 hours. that's all there is to it for this time. So if you want to come back later, I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Welcome back. Just wanted you to know remember we made our Parmesan cheese and we put it in a tray to ferment. It's been fermenting here for about 5 hours, and now we're going to put it on the dehydrator tray. And we always want to use the solid sheet for our dehydrator tray with the plastic sheet underneath. The holey one we'll use later. So I always put one on top of the other. The secret to this is you want to spread it on the tray. You don't want it paper thin. You want it about 1/4 inch thick as you spread it on the tray. Because if you get it too thin, it'll just sort of disappear. Okay? Just like that. Okay, we're ready to put it in the dehydrator, and when we take it out, it'll look a little different than this, maybe a little darker in color, but that's how it gets when it gets dehydrated. So I'm going to put this in the tray, and I'll see you after a bit. Okay, folks, it's been about 5 or 6 hours since we put it in the dehydrator. As you can see, it turned a little bit darker color, more of a yellow color, but I need to turn it over because it's not dry on the bottom. This is a dehydrator tray that only has the screen on it, which is all I need at this point. So we're just going to put one on top of the other. So now that we have it flipped, and it'll be nice on our tray, as you can see, it falls right off the sheet. Sometimes if it starts to tear a little, but you can see by the coloration, some of it's dry and some of it isn't. So we need to put it back in the dehydrator for maybe an hour or so to make sure that it's dry all the way through, because it's important. If you don't, it'll get moldy, and we certainly don't want moldy cheese. So I'll be right back. Hi, we're back. This is what our cheese looks like when we take it out of the dehydrator after the final couple of hours. You can see how it's dried now. And how am I going to use this as cheese? I'm going to put it in the food processor with the S-blade and grind it. So it now has, and I did some for you, so it now has the consistency of Parmesan cheese. Isn't that beautiful? And it smells delicious and tastes better. And so it tastes better than Parmesan, actually. So we're going to leave you now at this point. So you'll have to come back and join me later to see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use it in a recipe in a day or so. And so join me then. Don't miss it.